when you get a blank piece of paper or a canvas, when it's white and it's just new, you kind of stare at it and it's kind of scary. Well, London was very like, do this again. So I was walking around St Martinez, a massive university, and I saw the jewelry course section, and I was like, I'm applying here. It spoke to me. Yeah. Like this makes sense to me. I love this, I can do this. Out of nowhere, 6 months later, I get a message on LinkedIn from HR at Tiffany. Corporate America is a very specific climate that you have to follow if you want to stay. Every time I spoke out, it was a bad idea. They always used it against you. You could never say no. Like if they wanted you to work overtime, you can say no, but they will remember that for 3 years. Lucky I am to be in this early age at such a company, how I will see great things, how respected is this job, how I should never leave. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Really, like I felt sad. Stay original, be an artist, forget about the trends. It really doesn't matter. I'm trying to create timeless pieces. I mean, if you watched Uncut Gems, you understand everything. If you can financially fully depend on your art, that's what I think success is.
Hi, this is She Did It Show, and I'm your host, Daria Mudrova. Today, I'm so happy to present you our guest, Victoria Matsuka. Victoria, she's jewelry designer and maker. She studied art, fashion, and conceptual jewelry at world-leading top universities in London and Italy. She worked around 3 years in Tiffany and Co and in many other jewelry companies around the world as London, in Turkey, Russia, and Italy. She founded her own jewelry brand, Matsuka Jewelry, where she is making unique conceptual art jewelry pieces. And at the same time, she's working at Anthony Lent Jewelry brand, where she's also making jewelry as a bench jeweler. Hi, Victoria.
Hi, that's right.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm so happy to see you today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting. I'm very excited.
Yeah, you have such an interesting story, and I would love to talk with you today about your creative entrepreneurship, about your journey, about you working 9 to 5 and having your own brand, about your experience in Tiffany, and being a female bench jeweler in such a male-dominated jewelry industry in New York City.
Yeah.
But before we go there,
let's
start with your story, with your background.
Okay.
I know you've been born in Michigan.
Yes.
Then you lived in Russia.
Yeah.
And you studied at London and Italy.
Yes.
Share a little bit about that.
Well, thank you to my parents. Me and my brother were born in Michigan, Detroit. They, in the end of 80s, beginning of 90s, they escaped the Soviet Union and ended up being in Michigan, where me and my brother were born. We lived there for a little bit, but then the whole family moved back to Russia.
When? After 90s, when?
Yeah, in 1999, actually. So yeah, we all moved back, so we did grow up in Russia. So since I was 5 till the end of high school, I was in Moscow. I grew up in Moscow, half Moscow, half Sochi, which is the south city in Russia, because my grandparents lived there.
Wow.
So yeah, when I graduated high school, I applied to a school in London because it was obvious that I'm gonna take an artistic path, and my parents advised me to go abroad. They were supportive of it, so I applied to a school. I got in. And that's how I ended up in London, and actually pretty early age, because I graduated high school in Moscow. I was 16.
Wow.
So I ended up it wasn't London, it was like outside London, like a little town called Slough. Don't go there. But yeah, the boarding school was there. So I ended up at 16 being out of the house of my family, alone in London, and that's where my journey started.
Wow, that sounds so adventurous. So
Yeah.
you were in 16, it was like
2011, yeah.
11, yeah, something. Yeah, and you were accepted to International School of Arts in London.
Yeah.
How you get accepted there?
So when I was in Moscow, just studying in school, I also went to an after-school program of just like a kid art school. Not kid, but like, I don't know, in Russia it's called kid art school, children's art school. So I went there for, I think, around 5 years. But also, I mean, I've been drawing and doing creative art stuff since the very early age. My mom was very supportive of it. I had, instead of a babysitter, I also had a teacher that she would draw on silk with us, with me and my brother.
Wow.
So instead of just babysitting us, we would actually be doing something very creative.
So
And
maybe that was the roots of your passion
yeah,
to
for
art
sure.
generally.
That teacher, she really constructed my creative mind, I believe. So yeah, I had a portfolio of work from my art school and just in general my art projects I did, and I submitted it to the International School of Arts, and they accepted me. So when I graduated high school in Moscow, I wasn't applying for universities in Russia. I already applied
You
to the
already
school.
went there.
Yeah, and I went as soon as the year started. But it was still considered school. It wasn't like a university or college. It was still a school, but it was only with art subjects. So we had graphic design, fine arts, history of art, textiles.
No math.
No math. There was no academic there
That's a
was one
dream.
academic subject because it was like we had to do it, but it was all art related, and we were focused on making a portfolio to get into the university.
Yeah. So and actually, after that college, that school,
Yeah,
right?
school, yeah.
You went to Central St Martinez College of Arts and Design
Yeah.
in London.
Yeah. So that school is very unique. Actually, honestly, I don't know if it's still working because it was a very specific program of, it wasn't too many students, but that school was officially connected to Central St Martinez. So if you went to that school, it's kind of a guarantee. If you pass all the exams and make a portfolio, it's kind of a guarantee you get to University of Arts London. And University of Arts London is consisted of Central St Martinez, London College of Fashion, and there's like 6 colleges there.
Yeah, I actually have heard that it is very powerful university.
It is.
Yeah?
It's the biggest art university in the world.
Which
But yeah,
other like art universities would you?
well, Parsons is great in New York. From the ones that I know that some of my friends studied, it would be Parsons in New York, FIT also in New York. It's a great college. Central St Martinez in London, London College of Fashion. In Milan, there's Marangoni, and Palimoda in Florence, Italy, and also Antwerp School, I think it's called Royal School of Fine Arts in Antwerp is also, it's a huge school.
Yeah.
I mean, Demna Vasalia went there, who is a Balenciaga creative director. He went to Antwerp School.
Wow.
So it's a great school.
It's a great school and
Yeah.
a lot of potential connections you could make. And actually, after that, you went to International College of Arts in London and Alchemia University
So
in Italy.
First, after the International School of
You have so
Creative
many
Art, yeah, it's-
degrees.
yeah,
it's
I know,
just
it's a lot.
fascinating.
But after the school, again, I mentioned that school was very unique because all of us went to a foundation course in Central St Martinez. So foundation course is a year in London that everyone has to do, kind of like a generic art subjects year that you do a little bit of everything and then you pick your like specific studies. But because of the school, all of us went, instead of a year foundation, we did 3 months in summer, and we were all in Central St Martinez. which is great because otherwise you have to submit a portfolio specifically either to St Martinez or London College of Fashion, and then they would pick you. But we all ended up in St Martinez, which was an amazing experience. So, but yeah, that doesn't mean you get into the Bachelor of St Martinez. That's like before Bachelor, a course.
Okay, got it.
So you still had to apply for a Bachelor, and that doesn't mean you ended up in St Martinez, which I didn't actually. I applied to St Martinez Jewelry design course, and I applied to London College of Fashion jewelry course, and I got into London College of Fashion. I didn't get into St Martinez.
Okay, that's why you've been...
Yeah, that's why I went to London College of Fashion instead of St Martinez, which at that time it broke my heart that I didn't get to St Martinez because it's such a name. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's just a name. It's such a big name that everyone wants to get in there, but it doesn't mean that your future will change because of it, you know? So, yeah, it broke my heart at the time, but then I went to London College of Fashion. I actually liked it a lot, and it was a great year. I did 1 year of Bachelor there, and instead of 3, because that year was the year when Russia decided to take Crimea out of nowhere, just like, you know. So that
lots
year,
of other things.
yeah, it was a terrible financial year for Russia, and Russian ruble nearly defaulted. So it was impossible to stay in London with the pounds, like because the currency is pounds and it's so expensive. So yeah, I had to change the college, but thank God there was this school I found out about in Italy, Florence, Alchemia. It's called Alchemia School of Arts.
Thank you for.
So I ended up going there, and again, I was heartbroken. All my friends are in London. I love London.
How long you been there? 4 years.
I was for 5 years in London because I also had a gap year in London.
Okay.
So I was still with my friends. I was doing internships in London with like English companies. So it was so difficult to realize that because all my friends did graduate in London, you know, it was like a group, we were all together,
I know that, like,
you know. But yeah, I had to leave, and it was heartbreaking. I was extremely sad, but then again, you know, life brings you surprises. Then I'm so happy I went to Italy. Italian school was so good. It was very different from the London one, but for my professional skills, thank God I went to Italy. It was another level. That school is the reason why I have my career now.
Yeah, we actually will speak about your specialization, but I have a question actually. Being an artist today, like I know lots of artists, they're skeptical to art education generally.
Yeah.
How do you think, how it's important being an artist and having that arts education? What's your experience? What does it give to you? What maybe connections? Or
yeah, I mean, I think it's very important, but again, if you're a genius, you know, then maybe you don't need to go to school to create something incredible and to have discipline. Or maybe like being
like
a genius.
Basquiat or Van Gogh.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but those are different times, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, I believe not that many people are so disciplined to make it, to be so hardworking and curious to understand everything, to figure it out by themselves. I feel like most of us need some sort of direction.
Guidelines.
Yeah, and that's what schools give you. And I believe, in my experience, it was very important. First of all, yeah, the network. That's the place. That's the only place. In general, finding friends and having fun in those years is, I don't know, I find my student years they're so fun. They were so fun. I would never change that. So there's that aspect. But talking about more like professional art, creative stuff, the education is important to understand the process of how to guide your creativity, because my director in Alchemia School of Arts in Italy, Doris, I love her. I remember we had a class and she was telling to us that when you get a blank piece of paper or a canvas, when it's white and it's just new, you kind of stare at it and it's kind of scary. Like you kind of know what to do with it, but the first mark is always so scary that if someone gives you a direction, gives you either a theme or a topic to work on, or kind of tells you how to do the first mark, it's so much easier.
It's like actually when you start writing, it's like the
yeah, exactly.
blankets. Paper.
It's in general all creative.
It just scares a lot of people just to start.
Yeah, just to start. So school kind of makes you understand the process, how to avoid that part, how not to be scared of the blank canvas. And I still work with the methods that the school provided to me. Also, I think what's important in schools is the critique. I feel like all your work is being criticized either by teachers or, I mean, it's part of the
job.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, not all the time. Sometimes they're like, wow, this is great. But that's rare. Especially in London, that was almost impossible. In London, it was very like, do this again, you know? And I think that's important, that's great. That's how you become an artist. If you do it by yourself and someone criticizes you, you'll get it like, you will feel that's personal.
Yeah.
But in school, it's not really. There's peers around you who ask your advice, you help each other. Also to see work of your peers. There's like 30 other people who had the same...
critics?
No, not critics. They had the same task to do, but their outcome is so different that it's interesting and important to see how they figure it out in such a different way and compare it to your work. So yeah, no, school is great.
Yeah.
I mean, again, there was a lot of moments where I was like, I can't believe we're paying this amount of money for something so stupid, but it all works out in the end.
I mean, it's expensive too. I'm
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, no. I mean, compared to USA, it's not. USA is the fees are insane, but yeah, no, it's still expensive. But if you have the opportunity, for sure, use it.
Is there some grants you potentially can get?
Only as a European.
If you're European only.
Only in well, that was before Brexit. So now in London, even if you're European, you might not. I don't know how it works right now. But back then, if you're an overseas student, which is not European, you don't get any kind of scholarships.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is...
But in America, you can. In America, it's so much more expensive, but at least you can get scholarships.
There is a small percentage, but still exists.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yes, I understood you found... How did you find that you like jewelry? In which year of your...
in the end of my International School of Creative Arts, so that was 2013. I finished my school. We all as a school went to see an exhibition in Central St Martinez of graduate work. So all graduates of Central St Martinez had like a massive exhibition of all like textiles, graphic design, jewelry, fashion design, all the how do you say
range of
all the courses,
expressions,
exactly.
Mediums,
all the courses had their exhibition set up. So we as a school went to see it just to see how it looks, you know. So I was walking around Central St Martinez, it's a massive university. It's all courses are in one building, which is great. You can see everything. And I was walking around, and then I saw the jewelry course section, and I was like, I'm applying here. It spoke to me, you know. I kind of looked at it and I was like, I want to apply here. Yeah. Like this makes sense to me. I love this. I can do this. So from that moment, I just started to make my portfolio more focused to jewelry, and I applied to jewelry.
Yeah, I actually love that you had some time to figure out, because sometimes people, they got accepted to university and right away they have to choose really what they want to do. But you had this time when you could figure out fashion or jewelry, and then to make conscious decision. Yeah. Because it's so hard. Like, I know a lot of people struggle really to choose their passion, and
I'm very glad that it kind of happened.
As early is better, always.
Exactly.
But you need to try different things, and this is what you got a chance to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, you have been working and had workshop practices at lots of different companies in Russia, in Turkey, in Italy, in London. Tell a little bit about the jewelry market there. How did you find because at the end you returned to US.
Yeah. Well, during my studies in London, the vacation time there between terms is pretty big. It's like at least a month. So in that time, I had the opportunity to do some internship. Plus, I had a gap year. I had a gap year, a forced gap year, because the UK government didn't give me my visa on time. So I had to take a gap year. And in that time, I also had to figure out, obviously, I had to do something related to my bachelor.
Yeah.
So yeah, in London, I applied to many companies to do an internship, and I got accepted into this one fashion brand called Sarah Angold. She made like plastic jewelry, but very fashion oriented. It was at that time, I'm not sure if she still does the same thing, but at that time it was very cool, like very innovative, and it looked crazy for photo shoots. So I did, I think, around 3 months at least, maybe more. I had an internship with her, which was great, and I was living in London helping her. So I was in the industry. I did some shows with her. Then in Italy, it was not an internship. It was more like a workshop experience. So in a tiny town in Italy in the south, there's this guy who had like he was just working. The town was so small that he was the only jeweler there. So all the jewelry work went to him, and he had this studio in the city, and I just came there, and it was a beautiful town. It was called Monopoli in Puglia part of Italy, and I stayed there for a month, and I did just technical practice with him, and he taught me a lot of things. In Turkey was the same thing. It was also like a little workshop in Bodrum in a very pretty town.
I know that.
It was a tiny workshop with like 7 Turkish men who spoke 0 English, and I ended up there for I think 3 weeks, and they just taught me ancient jewelry techniques. That was actually my very first jewelry experience, like actual making jewelry, soldering, melting metals, like some like actual jewelry making. So they were the first ones who actually taught me. And that guy, the owner of that workshop, I knew because of my father. Mm-hmm. Like he knew that guy, and he connected me. And in Russia, I had very little experience, and it was very basic, so I wouldn't say it was very important, to be honest. It was just like a very small brand. I was helping them a little bit. And about the market, I can't really talk about Turkey because that was 2012 when I was there, so I can't really tell you what's in Turkey right now. London, I would assume is the same as New York because the city itself is sort of like
very
similar.
Fashionable.
Yeah, it's a huge megapolis. It's very expensive. Everything is there. Yeah, it's very like fashion oriented. In Russia, I don't know. Russia disappointed me in so many ways recently that I find hard to talk anything good about it right now. But funny enough, I recently got a link by accident from someone. Like someone sent me a link to a big store in Russia called Poison Drop. It's the biggest fashion retail store. I think it's online store. They sell like thousands of jewelry brands from Russia, and not only Russia, but mainly Russian brands. Everyone I know buys jewelry from there. And I just by accident got a link, and I saw, like, I was on that website for 10 minutes, and I saw like 100 of knockouts of like Tiffany and other brands I know. Like.
Got it. Yeah.
I feel like Russia.
Copycats, so some.
Yeah. They were basically 100, not even like kind of copies. They were 100% copies of other brands I know.
Yeah, there is like when you're inspired, that's one thing.
Yeah, no, they were like legitimate copies. So I went on that website for like 10 minutes. I saw that and I was like, okay, I guess. I didn't continue even looking, So that's what I know about Russian market.
Okay,
that's not really fair. There's some great Russian high jewelry brands that I know. For example, Lisa Borzaya. I met her personally in Vegas in a Shore and Couture in a very big jewelry show.
Yeah, every year.
Yeah, like I met her there, and her jewelry is incredible, but it's very high end, very expensive, very exclusive. It's technically amazing. Like she innovated some stuff. Like yeah, there's brands like this in Russia, of course, but I'm like talking about like trendy mass market stuff. It's copies of other brands.
And you decided to work in the US. That was the reason? That because it's very innovative here and lots of opportunities.
That's not the reason.
Why did you decide to come back to here?
Well, because I have a passport, you know.
That's fair.
You know, like when I graduated from Italy from Alchemia school, I would stay in there. Italy was great. I love. Who doesn't love Italy? You know, Italy is a great country, great climate, great food, great people, and yeah, the school was. It really helped me in all my future career. So I would stay there, but Europe is not doing very great with jobs. I feel like in general, like economy is not doing very great.
Yeah, that's
so there was no way someone would give me a job visa there, like an employment visa. So in order for me to stay there legally, I would have to find a job who would provide me with a visa, but that was not possible. So I came back to Russia after Italy when I graduated, and I think I spent there a month, and I was like, I'm out of here. I never thought. I mean, at that point,
it's because you're mentally been more already like.
Yeah, I'm socially already different. I feel like Russia socially is so in the Middle Ages that it was hard to be there. All my friends who came from London back to Russia didn't feel very comfortable. And I get that. So I never even thought of staying there. It was never my interest. And also, actually, even job-wise, there's not. You either start a brand in Russia or you work for
one of those brands who you receive the link.
Yeah, I mean they're too small to hire someone, but no, you work for like Soviet factories that make like Soviet-looking jewelry. You know, so Russia was never an option, and I thought, I mean, I have an American passport. I might as well.
Why don't give it a try, right?
Yeah, I might as well go try New York. I'd never considered any other state.
I'm actually surprised that in Europe you cannot use your passport to get job.
I mean,
you can travel there, but
you still need. It's the same process. It's the same process for any immigration. To legally stay there more than 6 months, you need a visa.
Got it.
So yeah, that's why I went to New York and tried it out, and here I am.
New York, and you found job in Tiffany and Co.
Yeah, that was actually almost straight away.
Right away.
Yeah. So
how did that happen?
I arrived in 2017 to New York with one connection. Actually, the director I mentioned, Doris from Alchemia School, she connected me with a conceptual jewelry artist. Her name is Biba Schutz. She does very particular, very conceptual jewelry for a very particular client. It's more like art sculpture pieces rather than jewelry. And there's a whole market for that. But she connected me with her. I don't know how she knew her, but she's like, I emailed her saying like, hey Doris, I'm going to New York, maybe you know someone. So she gave me a contact of Biba. And when I arrived here, I went to see Biba, and she offered me the minimum wage. At that time, it was $11 per hour, and that was 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, that was the minimum.
It was the minimum at the time.
Now it's like 15, I think.
Yeah, now it's 15. And I was shocked. I was like, I didn't know what I expect, but I did not expect that. Yeah, so I was trying to see if I can. Yeah, I was not really disappointed. I was trying to see other jobs, but then I realized it's a bit more difficult than I thought. So I did take the job with Biba. She did pay me 13 instead of 11. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah, but I worked there for 6 months, and I was very miserable. It was a very difficult time. I moved to a new place, no friends. I had zero
And you
friends
didn't
here.
have any friends because you've been 5 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And what's
So
Michigan?
I had relatives. I stayed with my relatives for like
Mhm.
the first month. But yeah, friend-wise, I had no one. I stayed with two strangers in an apartment I shared. It was very difficult. The first,
I feel you.
like, yeah, everyone who moved
Like
here,
lots of immigrants went through.
yeah, they
lots of,
went through a lot of upsetting things.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was also my experience, even though I have a passport, so it was easier for me to find a job because I legally can work, but
Mhm.
the rest, like the rest of the stuff
same
was so
story.
difficult.
Mhm.
But then out of nowhere, 6 months later, I get a message on LinkedIn
Oh.
from HR at Tiffany.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you?
I
Wow,
got a
this is
message on
awesome.
LinkedIn, and I was so convinced it's scam that I wasn't responding for like 2 days.
Really? Okay.
I was like, yeah, right. Tiffany texted me, you know.
In LinkedIn works, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And but then I replied, and I had a phone call with them.
Yeah.
And they asked me to come for a bench test, and that was so unbelievable. I remember not telling even my family. I was like, this is insane. So yeah, I came for the interview at Tiffany.
Just a clarification, bench jeweler, it's a person who is making jewelry.
Yeah,
So
bench
they
jeweler is
tried to hire you for the bench jeweler
Yeah.
position.
so they were looking for a repair jeweler
Mm-hmm.
at the flagship. So not at the factory of Tiffany,
Mm-hmm.
but at the flagship store, they have on the last floor, they have 4 jewelers who either repair stuff that people bring to the store or who immediately change sizes for engagement rings.
Okay.
So someone buys an engagement rings and they need a size 8. That ring is by default in size 6. So it goes upstairs and we immediately change the size and then the client gets it back.
Perfect. Yeah.
And they can propose right there if
Wow,
they want to.
That's a beautiful place.
Yeah, so it was a repair jeweler job, and I did get it. I passed the bench test.
With higher salary already.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, for sure. I was but it was part-time actually.
Part-time.
It was part-time, so I still needed another job.
Okay.
And
How was did the reality meet your expectation working in Tiffany? How was just overall? You've
Yeah,
been
like
working
the
there
climate
for 3 years.
for 3 years, yeah. Honestly, my first year was amazing. I learned so much. They sent me to another location for training. I had
Mhm.
2 weeks training to learn like new machines, like exactly what I need to do for that particular job of repairs, which is very fast paced. So I had a training and I loved it. Like professional wise, it was great for me. I met a lot of new people. Again, I didn't have friends at the time, so it was great. I was surrounded by hundreds of new employers and a great
Big
store.
corporation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a new experience.
Yeah. So my first year was great. I was happy. I loved it. I mean, I did understand that it's a corporation and I'm not really fitting in terms of, I don't know, just my character. I would say I'm a difficult person. And it's hard to me to pretend.
And it is not always a bad thing. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a great thing, actually.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But in corporate America, is a very specific climate that you have to follow if you want to stay. And it was very difficult for me to,
Mhm. What will be that?
like, anytime I would want to express something I wouldn't like or I would like to change in the system that we worked in, something like didn't work in terms of production or in terms of, in general, like social climate, it would always backfire in my face. Like always, every time I spoke out, it was a bad idea. They always like
Mhm.
used it against you. You could never say no. Like if they wanted you to work overtime, you can say no, but they will remember that for 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
You know, like it was very peculiar for me, for a person who was not used to that at all and who is very like expressive and creative.
Mhm.
That job had zero creativity.
Really?
Yeah, it was a technical sit and do exactly what needs to be done, no creativity involved. So yeah, and after a year I kind of felt suffocated there. It was starting to get, I realized the more I worked there, the less all people around me are my friends. They're actually, there was a lot of ratting on each other.
Really?
Yeah, it was not a healthy climate at all. The more I worked there, the more I realized that everyone is toxic around me. The managers are not very inspiring people. You know, I always
promoting you and giving you
no,
more.
that wasn't even like considered.
Wasn't
First of all, they never hired me full time, even though I worked there 3 years and I did a good job. I was actually the second woman in the flagship store to be a jeweler.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah,
so they were like, I actually wanted to ask, it's like more regular.
Yeah, no, there was only old men there.
Old men. Okay.
Only. I mean, jewelers, of course, like representatives and sales professionals. Like, I'm not talking about that. But in jewelry, like technical jobs specifically, they were all male.
So even the second woman bench jeweler.
Yeah, in the flagship, not in the company,
okay.
of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the more I worked, the more I realized that I just need to shut up and, you know, look down and do my job. And I started to really not like that.
Yeah. I feel you.
And they started also kind of like using stuff against me, and, you know, and yeah, I was actually saying that I was working there 3 years and I was doing pretty good, as good as I could, and they never offered me full time because it's a corporation. They don't want to pay taxes for me. They don't want to pay my insurance and things like this.
But how would you expect to grow? There was no opportunities there, yeah?
Yeah, also, even if I mentioned to someone that I would like to go to a design department, which is a separate, it's not, obviously it's not in the store, it's another location, they would not help me. Like, they were not, that wasn't in their interest at all. And their interest is to keep me working every Saturday. I actually worked every Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah, and that's it. So yeah, I got so tired there. I was just...
Wow, it seems like everyone wants to work in Tiffany, and such a dream company name. Yeah. And what's next if not Tiffany?
Yeah,
right?
I heard that a lot, and that made me just sad. I actually once was talking to my colleague at Tiffany, and he worked there for like 30 years in the same exact position, 30 years. And he was saying how lucky I am to be in this early age at such a company, how I will see great things, how respected is this job, how I should never leave because, you know, what can be greater. And I was looking at him and I was thinking, that's the saddest thing I've ever heard. Really, like I felt sad. I was like, I so want to leave.
Oh my gosh.
Like I feel like that's the worst thing that can happen to you, to stay for all your life. 30 years, they were working there more than I was alive. And they would still continue working for another 20 years, you know? Like, I find that so not inspiring.
Yeah.
I get that there's a particular sort of people who would like that and that it would suit them, like them. I get it, totally, that's fine, but I'm the opposite of that.
So you feel like working in a big corporation in general, it's not your thing, or maybe it's just
like in general, it's just not something that would fit my persona. You know?
And you actually decided to leave, and you found.
I was so happy.
Yeah, I'm congratulating you with new path.
Yeah, no, because I was part-time at Tiffany. I was part-time in another company for, I think, a year and a half. I worked for them called Amalie. It's like a small family brand. It was good. It was just it was a good job for another part-time. But they actually took me to Las Vegas to that couture show by accident because they have a little kid and they needed someone to. It was like they just called me. They're like, "Can you come to Vegas?" I'm like, "Yeah." And actually, I had to call Tiffany and be like, "Hi, I'm actually sick," you know. And so I went to Vegas with them, and that's where I met the Anthony Lent team. That's my current job right now. So they were also at that show, and I knew that brand because when I just came to New York, that time when I didn't even work at Biba at that time. That was my first week in New York. I went to Soho just to see what's up. And I just randomly went to a store, Love Adorned. It's a very nice jewelry store in Soho. And I saw Anthony Lent there, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was the most beautiful.
I saw it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Very unique and
it's so my style, and I so love jewelry like that, like very sculptural, artistic, like with a character.
Yeah.
Like not
unique.
The opposite of basic.
Yeah.
So when I saw them, I couldn't believe my eyes. I was literally speechless. So I immediately emailed them. I found them and I emailed them saying like, hi, I'm not sure if your workshop is in New York, but I would love to work for you. And I never got a response, but I.
Wow, and you actually emailed them.
Yeah, no, I emailed them on my first week in New York.
So our dreams are coming true sometime.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This is an amazing example.
But that was 3 years, I think even
in the 3 years, it's
4 years prior, then I started working for them.
Wow,
so they never replied to me, but when I saw them in the Vegas show, I actually told them that. I was like, guys, I sent you an email once. They were like, well, we get a lot of emails. I was like, yeah, I can. But anyways, I met them and we became friends. And I actually bought a piece of jewelry from them in that store, in that couture show. And and that was it. So, but then when I came back to New York, and I think a year passed, maybe less, like maybe half a year passed when the pandemic started. And I lost my Amalie job, the ones that took me to Vegas. I lost that job, but I didn't lose Tiffany job. So I was still with Tiffany in the first year of pandemic, part-time, but at least they were actually paying during the pandemic, which was great, even though there was no work, which I'm very grateful for. But during that time in pandemic, I emailed Anthony Lent again. That was my second time I emailed them. And I was like, guys, we met in Vegas. I'm looking for a job. And that's when they hired me part-time first. So I was still at Tiffany part-time at Anthony Lent. But then I think exactly 6 months later, they offered me full-time. And I didn't even hesitate. I was like, yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yes, and I left Tiffany. And I gave my notice. They were not sad. At all.
Big corporation. It's like differences working in big corporation and family established small brand. It's two different experiences.
Yeah, totally.
And why do you like more working in a small brand? Like,
I guess I'm important there. I'm actually the only band jeweler in the house. Like we use other jewelers, but they're all freelancers. So I'm the only person who is in the house full time making jewelry for them. So I'm valued.
Yeah, like you feel your influence on the process.
Yeah, I make stuff, like we work together on making stuff better, more efficient. Yeah. If I say something, we should do this better, or we should change this, in terms of the process, it's done because I'm the one doing it. And if it's more convenient for the brand and for me, we're doing it. At Tiffany, anything I would suggest was not heard at all. Yeah. At Tiffany, you're like one person out of 1,000. They don't care about you. You're replaceable. Yeah. Here at Anthony Lent, I'm not saying I'm irreplaceable, but still, it feels good to be efficient and to bring
the value contribution.
Exactly.
To see how the brand goes from one point to
another. How the brand grows because of your help.
Yeah.
And in general, there are great people working there. We're a very small team, and it's a very cozy environment.
Yeah,
very free. We are not like no judgment, no ratting on each other like at Tiffany. Like things like this.
That's important. The climate,
exactly.
With your colleagues. Yeah, and actually, you mentioned in pandemic you applied to that job, and in 2020 you started your own jewelry brand, Matsuka Jewelry.
Yes.
How did you manage to work 9 to 5 and you started your own brand?
Well, my brand was in the making for a really long time. I don't remember, honestly. I remember that I got a sketchbook in New York and started drawing my collection, but I don't remember what that was, like what year.
So you actually got inspired to create your brand before you created?
Yeah, no, my sketchbook, I was drawing in my sketchbook long before that.
So you've been thinking about that?
Yeah. I mean, that's how it works, really. You just kind of bury the idea for a long time, and then you start thinking how to make it in real life. So yeah, no, I made my first piece when the pandemic started, but that was a coincidence. That just happened. That I started the production of the first piece and everything got locked down. But how I started working on it.
What inspired you to create your unique style? You have very conceptual, unique art pieces, actually, like Greek mythology.
Yeah, my collection right now is fully based on ancient Greek art and mythology. Well, first of all, my grandfather is Greek. Not many people know that, but my last name Matsuka is actually 100% Greek,
it's a Greek
even though it sounds Japanese and it's confusing, but it's Greek.
Okay.
My grandfather came from Greece to actually Mariupol in Ukraine.
Really?
Yeah, my grandfather is a Ukrainian Greek.
Wow.
He, thank God, is not alive to see what happened to Mariupol in Ukraine.
This is insane.
But my whole Greek family and the community lived in Mariupol. Mariupol in general had a very big Greek community.
They are right now?
Right now, I don't have relatives there.
No, but they've been living there.
No, my grandfather lived in Kiev.
Okay.
So when my father was born, he was born in Kiev, but the community is from Mariupol. So yeah, my grandfather is Greek. I actually have never been to Greece, unfortunately. But
you've never been in Greece?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. But yeah, I think that's why I thought of Greek collection in general. Also, my other grandfather is Armenian, so that's a kind of similar culture, I would say. Also, ancient Armenia is one of the oldest countries in the world. So that also influenced me. I feel like in general I'm attracted to culture and history, but more visual history than actual like academic history, because if my history teacher saw me saying how I love history, he would be like, yeah, right, because yeah, my history was not very good, but like history of art and visual history is what attracts me. And actually, when I came to New York and I went to the Met Museum and I saw the Greek section, I was mind blown.
It convinced you.
Yeah,
100%.
It was that actually my collection is 90% based on the artifacts from the Met Museum.
Really?
Yeah, I actually went, took photographs of everything I saw in the Greek section of the Met.
This is just my love. I can go there and meditate.
I know.
Going around. Just
I've been there so many times, especially because for New Yorkers it's free. Not free, you can pay whatever, which is great. Yeah. So yeah, that's I just found most of my inspiration there. I went around, I took photos, I zoomed in on details, on patterns, and I put them together, and I created a lot of sketches around that. And yeah, I work with a 3D designer, a girl from Russia. Actually, I know her. She helps me 3D design my pieces, and I produce them here, and I just experiment and do whatever I want, which is great. Everything I'm wearing is the Greek, the Greek collection.
I love that. It looks so great, and I love the fact that actually, I guess it's a pros working a full-time job, having a side passion project that you can rely on your passion to the.
Yeah.
You can experiment. You don't rush sales or
exactly.
to do it just for money. You just actually expressing yourself.
Yeah.
Doing what you do, but there are pros working.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, is there cons working 9 to 5 and having?
I mean, obviously my goal would be to just have my collection and not to work for someone else, even though that brand I love and that job is great. But of course I would want to dedicate all my life to my creations. I guess that's normal. But yeah, you mentioned the pros are that because I'm not right now financially depending on my sales of my pieces, I can take it slower, I can try out new things, and I don't
experiment more.
Yeah,
maybe?
I can see what works and what not with more time and things like this. But the cons are obviously just lacking time all the time.
Okay.
Since I spend 8 hours at the bench at work, I don't really have the energy to stay more and to work on my pieces.
Because you need to live your life also.
Yeah.
When you have this time.
Yeah, I at least once a week I stay like till 10 p.m. at work because I'm working on my pieces after hours. But I don't want to do that all the time. I also have a life and I want to do other things, but you have to. I mean, otherwise, what's the point? You have to stay, you have to finish some projects you have. And yeah, that's how it works.
So, and actually, you produce your pieces after work time, right?
Yeah.
And how do you manage creating the content? Do you also lock your time for photo shoots? You have an amazing, beautiful pictures of your pieces on Instagram.
Thank you. They're all iPhone photos for right now.
That's all iPhone, really?
Yeah. I mean, there's some professional ones, but they're obvious. Like you can tell they're professional ones.
Yeah.
The rest are iPhone photos.
Yeah, and you run your business right now on Instagram. Do you use other platforms to sell your pieces?
I tried 80s. That's not right. I mean, what's the name of that website? Etsy.
Etsy.
Yeah. I just said the name of my sneaker brand.
Okay, it's not advertising.
Etsy. Yeah, I tried Etsy. It did not work at all because I feel like Etsy has more cheap pieces. Like really cheap. I'm talking like $5, $10. So my pieces are in the range of $250, $450, depending on the metal and the stones I use. But
it's mostly silver.
Yeah, right now it's I would love it to be gold, but I need investment for that. So right now they're silver.
And you invest your own money. Actually,
yeah, exactly.
Right.
So I usually, if I sell something, I just reuse that money for something
to create new stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like it didn't work out because it was not in the price range people want to see.
They look for cheaper stuff there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's why I only do Instagram right now. And it works. When people do buy stuff from me there. I don't have a website right now, but I'm working on it.
It's actually an amazing thing that without having a website, you just run your business through Instagram and you sell your pieces there. It's just an amazing thing. And obviously you are planning to do website later when you have more.
Yeah, I want professional photos on the website. I don't want iPhone photos on the website, even though they look good. Like
that I will not say that. Yeah, it just looks so
they look good, but I want the website to be professional. And I want professional photos
more.
Yeah, so I'm waiting a little bit and I'm working on it, but Instagram sales work and it's great. I love that people trust me. They message me, they ask questions, and I always reply. We work out some stuff. Sometimes they want customized things, which I'm happy to do if it's my design. So yeah, it works.
So you're actually one person right now, and you have some help from the designer who helps you to create.
Yeah, I have
some.
She's kind of like a freelancer working for me. I have some help from other jeweler, but he does like stuff when I don't have time at all. He helps me, but otherwise, it's just me.
So you actually find that Instagram visual storytelling works really well for your brand and for sales. And are you drawn to Greek style or just aesthetics? So do you use those mythology characters as some symbols? It's more like about Greek mythology.
You mean it's more conceptual or it's just
more aesthetic? Yes.
Yeah.
That will be the question.
It's both. I feel like actually in the beginning when I just started and I started using hashtags about Greece and ancient Greek, I got a lot of followers that were like, I saw their profile names and they were all like ancient Greek lover, obsessed with ancient Greece. You know,
Okay, there
like
were so many
learning
communities, I'm sure.
Latin, you know, the language. So those kind of people were attracted, and they obviously see my pieces more because they are so into the topic. They would relate in terms of mythology. They would be like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't know, Aphrodite is my favorite character, and I have a piece that would resemble Aphrodite. Or I have arrows that are with a little heart. They're called arrows of love.
Okay,
But
yeah, yeah,
you can either relate it to Aphrodite for love,
Mhm.
or to Artemis for hunting, or to Apollo for healing. Like, if you know mythology, you could relate. But also, if you don't, it's just aesthetically pleasing. I feel like, I feel like these pieces are timeless, and if you just enjoy the aesthetic, you would like it and love it anyhow, even if you don't know anything about mythology.
Yeah. Do you find it's important to voice some message, to communicate some message using your brand's voice? I'm feeling that some brands right now using this tool also to attract their audience. Do you communicate your values using your brand as well?
I would say the biggest value I try to communicate is stay original, be an artist, forget about the trends. It really doesn't matter what basic people are wearing and buying. I feel like I'm trying to create like timeless pieces. Like, even with sustainable fashion, like now people are talking about don't buy mass market, go vintage shopping, or buy more expensive pieces but less. Like, my brand is also about that. It's not $20 per piece because it's handmade and I invest all my time in it, but also it's timeless. And I feel like that's the biggest value I want to carry in my brand, to stay original, creative, unique. And also, actually, I'm right now selling pieces with the Ukrainian map.
Oh.
And
Yeah, I saw
those, the sales from those pieces go to, I donate them to Ukrainian charities. So there's a bit of a political
This is
message.
actually an amazing tool to communicate.
Yeah,
as well, so
exactly.
you can create
Exactly.
those
I
visual-
am trying my best to, because I'll obviously the best help you can do for Ukraine right now is donations, and that's an amazing tool to do that. If you have a product, if you are a creator, here you go, create something, donate it.
Yeah.
So I'm using that tool.
As being a creative entrepreneur, which challenges did you face running your own brand?
All the challenges in
All
the
the
world. No, honestly, mainly it's money. It's the financial part that is the most difficult. If you don't have an investor, you're just kind of running in circles. Even if you sell one piece, that is not enough to create something big. So it's very slow, which, I mean, I don't mind right now.
Yeah, because this is pros. of
Yeah,
having
exactly.
your
Pros of having another job
another job
to rely on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would think that's the main challenge, because you're become impatient. Oh, I have so many ideas, I want to do them, but you don't have the sources.
Yeah, I'm feeling actually, I like the idea that you create, first of all, you create very unique pieces, timeless pieces, which are aligning with your values to vintage shopping as well.
Yeah.
So to create something forever,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't rush to get like some trendy pieces out there.
No, not at all.
So for example, like these minimalistic jewelry pieces are like recently like so popular, right?
Yeah.
You don't rush that.
No,
you don't want to do
the
that.
only trends that I might imply in my brand are the ones that I like myself. For example, there's a trend, I don't know, of tiny studs.
Yes.
Like I like that,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I would
sure.
happily do that for my brand, and it would fit my concept. But that's because I really do like it myself. But if I don't like it and it's just trendy, I would not even consider, like, never even cross my mind to do something like on
Yeah.
purpose that I would not wear myself.
Oh my gosh, I love those little thoughts too. It's
Yeah,
so cute.
yeah, no, they're so cute.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am working on it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's something new is coming up. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's cool. And so actually, yeah, doing lots of things by yourself, being a creative entrepreneur, delivering pieces, communicating with customers, and you handle that all by yourself.
Yeah,
After
also
your
my husband helps me a little bit,
helps.
like to
Okay.
runs
This is
runs
awesome.
errands for me sometimes.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, with the amount of work, I mostly do everything because it's enough right now. But he
Mhm.
does help me. Yes.
Yeah, we actually talk also with you about the replicas and copycats
Yeah.
problems in the jewelry world. You mentioned that in Russia,
Yeah.
jewelry store, you saw lots of copycats. Did it happen that anyone copycat your
My
jewelries,
design?
your designs?
They're unlucky. They didn't.
They
No, honestly, for this brand, like for what I'm doing right now, I haven't seen that yet. I'm actually kind of thinking sometimes that I would open like an Instagram and I would see my design, which is, it's possible. But no, I never saw someone actually doing exactly the same what I did, which is great.
great, yeah.
But I did have, like in general, for example, when I was studying in Italy, I started my Instagram in a very particular way back then. And I know that a girl that I knew, it literally was my Instagram, she even used like images from my Instagram. And I
Wow.
remember I was not happy about it. I actually messaged her very sarcastically saying like, hey, great Instagram, But no, in a major way that did not happen to me yet. But honestly, I'm working on not reacting on that because I know that would make me very upset. But I try not to react in that way because I believe that if a person is truly creative, they will always come up with something newer and better. Even if someone copied them and they're making money off my design, I will always create something.
Mhm.
Like I don't have to like keep that design, no, it's mine. Like I will do better,
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have that like mindset, you should be fine. But
yeah.
I'm working on it. It's not like I never when I see someone copy, I will be chill about it. I don't think so.
Yeah, there is like I recently just was reading some book or still like an artist, I think.
Yeah,
it was-
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the two different things to be inspired because like lots of ideas and
No, everything's
everything
been
is
made.
already like existing in
Everything.
this world, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you just like have to be inspired. It's like two
Yeah.
different things to create the same exact thing or to
Yeah.
be inspired like
For
an
sure.
artist. And you also you've been inspired by the Greek.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So many times the Greek theme has been done.
Yeah.
And in jewelry, I'm far from being original about that. But yeah, it's just about processing it in your way.
Yeah.
And, just creating your story with the same
Bringing
topic.
your values to
Yes.
putting all together to the story.
Yeah.
Visual storytelling, it's such a major part right now, like in brand marketing.
Exactly.
So I was like, yeah. to
Yeah,
put in-
but
and your
don't-
personality.
Don't copy, like
Yeah,
in
the-
general. Just
but-
don't do that.
That's a good message. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, and actually, your brand is registered as a brand, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
That's great. So you can always protect yourself using.
I mean,
Legal instruments.
with design, it's so difficult.
So difficult.
It's almost
yeah.
impossible. Even big brands would struggle with that. You change one stone, it's a different design.
It's a different design. Because I'm thinking like how Tiffany is okay that everyone is just like making it.
Yeah.
For example, yeah,
Yeah.
like big brands, they don't sue those companies. They just
Yeah, I feel like there's so many that it would just be an endless lawsuit.
yeah.
They're doing so good. I don't think they. I don't know how
they
that
care.
works.
Yeah. Yes, actually, what's your experience being a female bench jeweler working in
In the Diamond District.
Diamond District, yeah, in New York.
Yeah.
And it's actually the center, like of the diamond industry.
Yeah, in New York it is. Yeah,
in New York.
it's so bizarre. It's that street. I mean, if you watched Uncut Gems, you understand everything.
Spoke about that recently.
That movie is so accurate. I couldn't believe it. It's genius how they made it. You know, those directors, it's brothers. I forgot the name, but yeah, it's a brothers directors. They are genius. But yeah, that movie is basically where I work. I mean, obviously our office is good, the Anthony Lent office, but the street is like that, and it's uncomfortable. There's someone is, I don't know, whistling at you, calling you, telling something to you. They act like they've never seen a woman before. It's so weird. But the industry in general is full of men, and they're kind of middle-aged. Most of them are immigrants. I feel like there's barely any American bench jewelers, not even bench jewelers, in general, people who have like a technical job, like hand technical job. Mostly people that work in the industry are
came with no background to this. You mean, like?
I mean, like, yeah, they're not very educated. They've been doing this all their lives because it's a family business.
Okay.
You know, they're first generation immigrants, and most of them are from Eastern Europe, and they don't understand how to speak and act around. A lot of them are from Russia, not necessarily like Russia, but like ex-Soviet countries.
Okay.
So they don't really have understanding of how to be normal around people. So it's bizarre. It's weird. I mean, I don't get weird and personal around them, but I see so many things on the street, on 47th Street, which is the Diamond District, that is not supposed to be happening. I see like people like bothering women all the time. It's weird.
Yeah, it's something. I mean, I've been there because I also was working with jewelry company, and some time I go there too. And actually, I also like collaborating with this family-owned business owners, and they're amazing. And it's like, but all this street is crazy. I agree with you.
It's an experience,
yeah,
for sure. But even when I was at Tiffany, I had a very different approach from other jewelers because I'm a woman. Like there were so much. I remember when I had my bench test at Tiffany. So I just came to I had to do a test. If I pass, they get me. If I don't, I don't. And there was only men around me, like 30 men around me. And they all, first of all, they were all like staring at me because I'm a young girl who came for a test. They were already like, what? You know? But also,
it's a very jeweler.
Yeah, they were like
not in marketing or somewhere, just to sit on the jewelry, yeah.
Yeah, they were like extra nice to me and trying to help me to pass the bench test, which, I mean, I didn't mind it, but it's because I'm a woman. You know what I mean? They would never.
Did you feel offended?
No.
No? Okay.
I didn't feel offended, but not at that moment. But there was other moments when there was really weird, inappropriate comments, you know, like, which was, like, I was offended by that, you know.
Okay. Something to work on.
For sure. Even at Tiffany, you know, like, such a brand where values are important, corporate values about, like, all these tricky topics, even there, men are still acting inappropriate.
Tiffany, need to work on that.
For sure. Figure it out.
Figure it out, yeah. Okay, so having such an experience working with your own business 9 to 5, what will be your advice to people who are thinking to do something aside their 9 to 5 job? Yeah. But they were afraid to jump into this entrepreneurship. How would you encourage them if you would have a chance to say them a word? Well,
if you feel miserable at your job like I did, you kind of don't have a choice. You just need to start doing it. Especially if you still have the job and you still have financial income, then what is there to be scared of? What is the worst thing you can do? Like, just don't invest all your salary into the thing you're doing. That's stupid. But little by little, just figure it out.
Yeah,
you
just
know?
don't afraid start. I
Yeah.
love their sign on
Oh,
your
yeah.
t-shirt.
Oh yeah, I wore it on purpose.
I'll tell you what, freedom is to me no fear.
Yes.
Yeah, just
No
don't be
fear.
afraid. Yeah, just do that. Yeah, and to someone who would love to do this, to start the same career as a jeweler as you do, maybe some universities, what's important?
I would definitely suggest going to my Italian university in Florence, Alchemia, if it's possible, obviously.
Yeah.
If not, just try as many. If you can't afford like in university and you want to try different jewelry courses, try them all. Try setting, jewelry, engraving, because those are all different kind of like areas to work on. Try them all, see what you like the most, and then choose something more specifically and like go in that direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so education is important. You cannot
sure.
just get it like just practicing.
I don't think so.
This is, yeah.
Even though there's YouTube videos, you will never. You need someone with a lot of experience to guide you to understand, because you can try doing it and maybe it will look similar, but no, you need some sort of guidance in the beginning at least.
Yeah, that's an amazing thing to be able to create your unique brand, just not to be a reseller of jewelry.
Yeah.
What's your favorite book we are reading right now, or you're inspired to share with?
I have a favorite book,
followers?
actually. For many years, my favorite book was Master and Margarita by Bulgakov, but
oh my gosh, I love it too.
I still love it. It's still one of my favorite books. But I actually don't remember the year I read it, but that book is everything. It's by Lyudmila Ulitskaya. She's a pretty big writer in Russia. She's great.
Yeah, I actually was listening to her interview recently.
Yeah.
She's in Germany, I think.
Yeah, no, she's like
now.
not happy with Russia right now.
Yeah, yeah, it was impressive interview actually with.
No, she's great, and she has a book called Kazus Kukotskova, which is I think Kukotsky Enigma in English.
Kukotsky Enigma. Okay.
Yeah, it's about Soviet times. It's esoteric. It's funny, sad. It's the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yes.
Like this is this is how I would describe that book.
Okay.
It really inspired me. I was very impressed by it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
It has
you.
nothing to do with jewelry. I would not recommend any jewelry books because I never read one.
Really?
Yeah.
Actually, I wanted to ask if there was something.
I have some books with like photos of jewelry or stones, like just like visual, like encyclopedias kind of things, but nothing like about jewelry or technical, nothing like that.
Where you get inspiration from, aside of museums?
I feel like I'm very visual person, and all my creative work was based on something visual. So movies, museums, just it could be a very random object. Sometimes I would go on the street, and even I remember one of my favorite projects I did in school was based on Italian playing cards, and I randomly saw them in a souvenir store because they have different cards. It's not like the cards we use.
Really?
They have like with the illustration. They're very beautiful. They're
like tarot?
Kind of like tarot, but they're playing cards.
Okay.
So I saw them, and that was the base of my whole collection, my graduation collection. So yeah, I'm very like visual, so anything that would catch my eye is kind of, and yeah, movies are a big part of it.
Yeah, I know you have also one of the accounts you have about movies with the collection, you creating the collection of movies you're watching, doing your reviews.
Exactly, yeah, it's called Scroll No More.
Yep.
Scroll No More. And yeah, I did that for a while. I stopped doing it because I don't have time. But yeah, I wrote reviews on movies, and most of those movies are not commercial because everyone watches commercial movies. Like, there's no need to post and review them. I reviewed like very obscure and arty movies, and a lot of them also gave me inspiration for.
Actually, scrolling back to your Matsuka Jewelry Instagram, there are lots of movies, arts.
Yeah, there's like references.
It feels like you've been creating the mood board.
Yeah, that was exactly that.
Because 2016?
Yeah, no, that Instagram is created while I was studying in Italy.
Okay.
So while I was studying, I was posting kind of my mood board, my inspiration, my projects.
And it's from everywhere, like it can be just a book, the illustration, the artwork, and everything.
Yeah, anything that my mind connects visually that is related to what I'm doing creatively, I would put in that Instagram. It was very fun.
It's actually an amazing mood board.
Yeah. Also, actually, talking about pros of going to school, art school, also, I forgot to mention that the freedom you get. When you're studying in an art school, you can do the craziest project you could imagine. You know, like, think of a jewelry piece that is impossible to wear. You can make it because it's an art school, it's a project, and you're free. You have time to do all of that and have so much fun.
Oh my gosh,
and when you graduate, when you start depending on sales or like you don't have the source or the time, you stop doing that. I miss that so much, the absolute freedom of doing insane pieces like that will never no one wear, but they were fun, and you know.
Who knows? Maybe there will be people who will wear those crazy pieces.
Yeah, no,
too.
of course there's photo shoots, runways, or just people in general who would like that, but that's such a niche. Like if you're trying to sell that and depend on that, that will be very difficult.
Yeah, and
So
your focus actually also to create pieces for high fashion, like for runaways and for...
I would love to do, that was what I was doing in school, kinda, and I would love to continue doing that, but it's an enormous amount of work with, you don't know if someone will see it and buy it, and you know, you need more resources for that, and school is amazing for that.
So, yeah, that's amazing. So you're working right now on your brand, and you continue working and the company, just combining things, and we'll see where it will go. I hope so. There will be
there'll be sales and changes.
Amazing collections.
Yeah.
Right now it's already, I love that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I would love to go like to another culture, or actually I don't know, but I would love to do less of Greek stuff and do something else.
Oh,
but
really?
for now I'm inspired enough by Greece, so I'll continue.
It's
but
a current collection.
Yeah, my current mood is that, but I know I will do something else, and let's see. I don't know.
Gosh, I'm so inspired. What's my last question?
Yeah.
What's your definition of success?
My definition of success for right now, I'm sure it changes with time, obviously, but
current definition of success. It's always changing. It's normal.
Right now, living in New York, being a young working woman and living in one of the most expensive cities, I would say to be making shitloads of money. That's why
love it. I feel you.
But money coming from your art, you know, not just like I don't want to make shitloads of money doing something I hate. I'm talking about making it using your art, creativity, your brand. That's success, I feel like. If you can financially fully depend on your art, that's what I think success is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was fun.
Yeah, thank you. I'll enjoy the conversation, and tell how people can find you, your brand, and
my Instagram is matsuka.jewelry, MATSUKA .jewelry. My personal account is Matsuka with double S, and I have a link there for Matsuka Jewelry, for Anthony Lent Jewelry work, for my movie account, Scroll No More. So yeah, I guess that's it.
Thank you so much.
Thank
I wish
you.
you all the luck and all the success. Following
your
your
loads of money.
Lots of money too.
Thank you.
Yeah, to all of us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So And thank you so much for watching, and drop your questions, subscribe to Instagram, follow us on YouTube. Have a nice day. See you next time.